What's up, this is Tom with Elevating WordPress. In this video I'm going to show you how to make your WordPress site load faster on Godaddy hosting. So Godaddy is not the fastest host. Even their managed WordPress hosting is not really that good. So if after implementing all my recommendations, which I outlined here, then if your WordPress site's still slow, then I would recommend switching to a faster host like SiteGround. I host all my websites on SiteGround, and you can see it loads very instantly. I think I have about a 0.5 to 0.2 load time in GTmetrix, and that's the first step I would do is open up GTmetrix and run your website through there. You know, any page will do, but I'll just go over the recommendations. And I will go over these in depth. I know this is a long video, so I put timestamps in the descriptions as well as links to tutorials. There's a speed optimizer I use who is $20 an hour if you just want to outsource this. He is the same guy who optimizes all my websites. So I basically do this for a living, part of my living. But here's all the websites he's optimized. You know, this one he went from 7.32 seconds to 1 second, almost 17 seconds to about 4 seconds. You know, 0.81 seconds, 1.44. So this guy's $20 an hour, and I left a link below if you want to hire him, or you can just stick with me and do this yourself. But it does get a little technical. So I'll just get right into it. So the first thing you want to do is go into your plugins menu and delete all inactive plugins. And try to minimize as many as you can. Also, you want to run the P3 plugin performance profiler plugin, which will tell you your slowest loading plugins. So if you go here and you have P3 installed and go to your plugins menu, then you can see P3 is right here, and you can do a scan and just press scan, start auto scan, and I'm not going to let it run. I'll just show you exactly what it does. It basically just puts a graph of all your slowest loading plugins so you can see which ones load the slowest. And then you want to consider either deleting them. For example, Broken Link Checker detects broken links on my website, but I don't need that all the time. So, you know, maybe once every 2 weeks or month or whatever, I can just install that when I need to. Just like P3 Plugin Performance Profiler, once I'm done using it, I really don't need it just installed on my site, lagging it down. I can delete it, not just deactivate, delete, and then reinstall it when I need to. The other big thing, and this is huge, is a lot of plugins take a long time to load. So Revolution Slider, Jetpack, social media sharing plugins, Google Map, event, and calendar plugins. Those are common culprits that take a lot of load time, but you want to avoid those. So and ideally use a more lightweight plugin. So for example, Revolution Slider is a really pretty heavy plugin. The Soliloquy, I think it's pronounced Soliloquy Slider plugin. Yeah, we'll just type that and let Google do the rest. I think it's like $19, but it's super lightweight. And I remember one site had a Revolution Slider, and we replaced it with Soliloquy, and it literally made a 3-second difference in their GTmetrix load time. So that's the kind of things you want to do. Also, if you don't need a Google Analytics plugin, you can copy the tracking code and paste it directly into the footer. You don't need an XML sitemap plugin if you're using Yoast, because Yoast generates a sitemap for you. Facebook and widgets, you can go to those websites and get the code instead of using a plugin for that. So just try to minimize as many plugins with you can, and try to work with your developer if you have one to minimize those. The next thing is optimize images. So you can break this down into 3 parts. In GTmetrix, you'll see optimize images, and this means lossless compression. Serve scaled images means resizing and cropping images to fit their dimensions. So say an image is too large, but and WordPress resizes it for you, but you need to resize it in like Photoshop and then re-upload it. But for serve scale dimensions, you want to make sure you know all the dimensions of like your logo, your sidebar. I know my content body is 579 pixels width, so any images that I use here, if I want them to be full width, they'd have to be at 579. So you really just want to make a cheat sheet, of your website and the different image containers and follow those containers. GTmetrix will tell you which images on your website need to be resize and crop, and it will tell you what the proper dimensions should be. So then you would just resize it or crop it in Photoshop, re-upload it, and then replace the old image with the new image. Specify image dimensions just means we need to specify a width and height in the HTML. So the WordPress visual editor will do this automatically, but widgets and page builders and some sections don't, or like CSS. But all this means is that you need to specify a width and a height in the HTML or CSS. So this is the HTML. CSS, you would go into the editor and do that. But yeah, that's what you would do. I do have more thorough instructions on this tutorial. This shows you, maybe a few things that I'm not going to cover right now, but this guide shows you everything. So this guide is like, it's got 125 comments, a lot of people use it, and it's got a ton of recommendations. If you need to configure like max CDN, you just click that and it goes straight to it. So I'll leave a link to this in the comment section of this video. But back to image optimization. So serve scaled images, resize and crop them, specify image dimension, specify width, height in the HTML, and optimize images. You're going to use either Imagify or Kraken. And those are, you would install a WordPress plugin. I already have it installed, but then you would go to, I'm going to use Imagify for example, since I think that's the best one. Then you would just sign up, and it's free for a certain amount of images, then it resets every month, so you can either pay or you can wait every month and optimize some images. And it also gives you the option to optimize upon upload. But I would avoid free image optimization plugins since they can like break your site, and it's just bad news. So it's worth paying a little bit extra to not completely mess up your site. Once you sign up for Imagify, you're going to get an API key in your account. There's going to be a little API right here, and you're going to enter it into your plugin. So when you do install the Imagify plugin, you should see a little screen up here that says, enter your API key. Once you do that, then you're going to see under Media a bulk optimization option. And then you can either set this to normal, aggressive, or ultra. I just have it as aggressive as the default, and then you just Imagify them all. And that will bulk compress all images on your website. Keep in mind you probably will run out and you probably will need to end up paying for a plan, but like I said, it's worth it than using a free plugin that's going to break your site. So that will take care of the optimized images, which is lossless compression. Upload my W3 total cache settings. So there's 3 good cache plugins out there. W3 total cache, which is kind of complicated. There's a ton of settings in there. WP fastest cache, which is super easy, and WP super cache. No one is better than the other. You really have to test them out on your website and see the results. So I would start with WP fastest cache since that's the easiest. If you don't get good results after retesting in GTmetrix, then you might want to try the other plugins. I did write tutorials on WP fastest cache and W3 total cache if you want to check the comments section, but I will touch on this really quick. So just go to your plugins, add new, and install WP Fastest Cache. Once you're there, you're going to go into the settings, and you can just copy the same settings I use. And then when you're done with that, go to Delete Cache and click this button right here. Then go to a page on your site, right click, and go to View Page Source. Then you're going to want to search for WP Fastest Cache. WP Fastest Cache. So there it is, all the way at the bottom right here. So if it's present, that means it's working, so that's good. So that was pretty easy, right? W3 total cache is not that easy. I did write like I said, I wrote a tutorial in the comments, but you can refer to that if you don't get good results with WP Fastest Cache. But I actually have gotten great results with this plugin, even if it's so simple. The next step you want to do is configure a CDN. So a CDN is a content delivery network which hosts your website on multiple servers around the world. So if you're on shared hosting, you're really just using one server. So if your one server is located in Chicago, but someone from Europe tries to access your website, it's going to take a ton of time for that content to travel. So the CDN basically mirrors your site and hosts them on multiple servers, so the closest server to your visitor can access that content, and it can shave seconds off your load time, especially for visitors who are far away. So this is a paid service. It's going to be $6.75 a month for most websites. I did include a coupon link in the video description. It is an affiliate link, but it basically earns me a commission off the sale, which is going to Navient for student loans. If you decide to do that, I would appreciate it. Same thing with SiteGround. I did include a SiteGround affiliate link, which is a much faster host than Godaddy. If you do any sort of research on SiteGround reviews, they're really good. Their support's amazing, speed is amazing. But if you click through my site, like I said, I'm on SiteGround, and all my sites load instantly. And I do speed optimization for a living, so I kind of have to know who's best. But yeah, I did include an affiliate link. I would really appreciate if you used that. If not, it's all good. So MaxCDN, all you would do is go to their website and sign up, or click the coupon link in the video description. They do have a free trial at the bottom. If you don't want to pay right now, you can test it out. But it is an item in the Why Slow tab. So you can see use a content delivery network. So to sign up for MaxCDN, I already signed up, so once you do, you're going to be logged in, and you're going to create a pull zone. So I already have a ton of pull zones set up, but this may actually be easier if I just follow. Okay, so like I said, you go to click the CDN, sign up, create a pull zone. You'll see this pull zone link right here. When you are prompted, you're just going to type in your website name, and then your domain name, and then your website name again for the label. Then you're going to get to this screen, and you're going to copy your CDN URL and then your origin URL. And when you go to WP Fastest Cache, I already have it set up, so it's not going to show it, but you're going to see it request the CDN URL and origin URL, and that's where you would just copy CDN and origin URL and then paste it. And then leave all file types selected and save it, and that's all you got to do for MaxCDN. After that, you should see in GTmetrix that your CDN is working. If not, MaxCDN has great support. You can either send them a live chat message or call them, but that's MaxCDN in a nutshell. Step is to configure Cloudflare. I know there's a lot of complaints about them, but they've always worked really well on my website. This will improve both your website speed and security. It basically acts as a proxy. So I outlined all the instructions here, but you'll basically sign up, add your website. Cloudflare is going to scan your website. Then you're going to get to the basic settings. You can just choose the free plan. CDN plus basic optimizations is best. Security level medium. Cloudflare will assign you 2 name servers, and you will need these. So then you can just Google how to change name servers on GoDaddy hosting, or on GoDaddy, because it's different if you, depending on where you purchase your domain and hosting and everything. So they will tell you how to, access the name servers. So it basically just says log into GoDaddy, click domains, manage, click the domain name you want to use, and then select the DNS zone file tab. The domain name servers display in the name servers sections. So you're going to want to replace those with these. And this is for Bluehost, but once you have updated those, then you can do the same thing. Go back to Cloudflare and click I've updated my name servers. In the gearbox icon, go to Cloudflare settings, and then you're going to see a bunch of tabs. I'll just log in so you can see what I'm talking about. So these are the tabs I'm referring to. So the first thing you're going to want to do is configure the speed settings. So go to the speed tab right here. And then you're going to want to click on make sure all these are minified. Railgun is good. You can see it's active right here. Rocket loader is set to automatic. And then you're going to want to go to page rules. So it looks like I don't have them set up for this site, but we'll go to one of my websites that does. So you're going to want to create some page rules, like for the WordPress admin and the previews. These are the page rules you want to set. So you would just do that for your website, yourwebsite.com/wp-admin with a asterisk, and then just copy my settings right here. Same thing with this preview true, and then my home page. So you can copy those page rules. After that, that's pretty much it for Cloudflare. I would check your website just to make sure the design functionality isn't, it doesn't mess up your website, but it shouldn't. So the next thing we're going to do is to clean your database with WP Optimize. This is really easy. I'm not even going to walk you through it. All you do is install the WP Optimize plugin, and then once you do that, on the left of your plugins menu, sorry about that, you're going to see a WP Optimize section right here, and just click it, and you're just going to see an option to run it. And you can just run it as the default settings. I wouldn't mess around with anything. It's basically just going to delete trash, spam, post revisions, things that you shouldn't need. If you do need something, then you can uncheck it, but it's very self-explanatory. The next thing is to defer parsing of JavaScript. So I'll close out all this stuff. We're going to need to do, let's see, defer parsing of JavaScript. So I will give you the code. I would refer to, again, the speed optimization guide. I added the link in the YouTube description, but you're going to need to grab some code for this one. So like it says, back up your functions.php file, then add this code to it. So all you do is go here, and click and copy it, then go to your editor, go to your theme functions, and then paste it. I already have it here, but that's where you add it. So add expires header is very similar. You would just go to, first of all, W3 total cache, or your cache plugin might take care of this, but if it doesn't, you would just go to your .htaccess and add this code. And remember, take a backup first before you do this. Update WordPress, make sure your WordPress core themes and plugins are all up to date. This is really self-explanatory, but go to your dashboard, and if you have any updates, make sure they're updated. A lot of companies like SiteGround, I know, has automatic updates. So this will automatically update your WordPress core, but not your theme or plugin. So definitely check this once in a while and make sure your theme, plugins, and core are updated. So more speed tips. A few more things. Minimize redirects. If this shows in your GTmetrix report, minimize redirects, all that means is maybe you probably switch from www to non-www version of your URL or vice versa, and all that means is that your images and your links, any links, are using the non-correct version. So you need to go back and correct all those links. I think you can use the Better Search and Replace plugin to do this if you do have this issue, but that's what you would do for minimize redirects, is just correct all those links to the new version of your site. A big thing is the theme you use. So I use all my websites are built in StudioPress themes. If you haven't heard, I know you probably don't want to switch your theme, but it does affect your load time. So these are all super lightweight themes. Just like a plugin can come with a ton of built-in functionality and lag down your website, so can your theme. And that's, it's definitely important to have a lightweight theme. That's why I don't shop on ThemeForest or any of that. But if you haven't heard of StudioPress, it is, they have beautiful themes. I use the Outreach Pro, which is like a church theme. But yeah, super clean code, built-in security, built-in SEO. These themes are awesome. I would definitely check them out if you've never heard of them. But your theme does affect your load time. And a couple of other suggestions. So I went over, delete unused plugins, use a cache plugin, Cloudflare Max CDN optimize images, use a lightweight sharing plugin. I've noticed when I assess a website with my speed optimizer guy from freelancer.com, I would say like 50% of the time they're like, yeah, he or she needs to use a different social sharing plugin, because these can really drag down your site. Remove query strings from static resources. Honestly, I've had a lot of trouble with that. I really can't answer that right now. But here's a few other suggestions. Uncheck forced rewrite titles in Yoast. You can add a code instead of this. So if you're using the Yoast SEO plugin, you're going to see this option under SEO dashboard, I believe. I think so. Or titles and metas. So force rewrite titles. So a lot of times if you hover over your site and it says like the site name twice, so why is WordPress so slow and how to get 0.9 second load times, and then it says dash elevating WP dash elevating WP. So you're going to see it twice in the title tag, and force rewrite titles does correct this, but it's not the preferred method according to Yoast. You should actually there's a code that you can add, a simple line of code, right here will fix that. So again, refer to the speed optimization guide to grab that code. But yeah, definitely do not check on force rewrite titles in Yoast. A few other things, you can disable trackbacks and pingbacks. enable WordPress heartbeat control it's a plugin that delays WordPress's API. It can make a small difference, but it does help. Don't use a Google map anywhere, preferably, but if you use it in your footer, that Google map is going to take a long time to load, and it's on every single page on your website. So just keep in mind your header and your footer and your sidebar widgets, those things are going to be loading on multiple pages, so you don't really want to clog them up with heavy code or Google Maps or anything like that. Preferably it's going to be static HTML. Delete unused themes, cache. I wouldn't really pay attention. This doesn't really make that big of a difference. Lazy load your pages. So if you're writing long tutorials like this one, lazy load will basically only load your page or videos, whatever plugin you use, as you scroll down the page. So instead of loading everything at once, it's going to only load the visible portion, and then as you scroll down, it's going to start loading more stuff. I don't use it. A lot of people do. It's just a preference, but there is a lazy load for your entire page, and then there's a lazy load plugin for just videos, since those can take a long time to load. Reducing the size of individual pages will obviously help. Don't use too many images or videos on one page. Like I said, using a lightweight theme from somewhere like StudioPress is a good idea. And last but not least, if I am either boring you or this is getting too technical, then you can hire the same speed optimizer I used on freelancer.com. Honestly, if you hire them for 10 hours, it's $200 and you can make a substantial improvement. But that's basically it. If you do go through all my recommendations and you're still not having success, you can also, like I said, migrate to SiteGround because GoDaddy's hosting is not that great. Honestly, I was on GoDaddy and I was getting internal server errors almost every day, which means my website was shutting down. And then I would call GoDaddy and say, yo, my website's down. And by the time they answered the phone, because their support's not that great, my website would be back up and the problem would be quote-unquote fixed. But it went down all the time. Website was slow. So that was my experience. SiteGround is way better. Anyway, that is my tutorial for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, I know it's a ton to cover, just leave me a comment in the videos and I'll be glad to help you. But I did list all the speed optimization guides, the link to W3 total cache settings, WP fastest cache, and a lot of other links in the video description, so be sure to check those. Peace!